All right, so recording's in progress. We've got an exciting video for the Pickcode channel today. We've got Crystal here from Oracle to talk about some Java 25 features. So, Crystal, maybe just if you could provide a little bit of background about you. I think you were a teacher for a while, and then now you're doing this role, or yeah, be curious to know about that.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the Pickcode channel. That's great. Yes, I'm Crystal Sheldon, and I was a AP teacher for many years, and then I worked at the College Board doing curriculum and assessment for the College Board, and now I work for Oracle. And the great thing about my job is my main role is to support teachers and students learning Java. So all of our materials are free on the Learn.java channel, and it's I can take requests and create whatever is needed. So
So basically, if your code doesn't compile, we should email you.
maybe not. Maybe
Okay.
not. But yeah, most of my focus is on helping people stay up to speed on the latest in Java, which is what this segment is going to be about
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
just released Java 25 in September. So we kind of try to focus on there, help people stay up to date. Some people think that Java 8 is where Java is, but Java 25 was released in
When
September.
did Java 8 come out? Because that is kind of true that people have
Oh,
that mindset.
I mean, a million years ago, I can't I have that data point somewhere.
It's got to be at least 15 years ago. So yeah, I mean Java has come a long
Yeah.
way. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Our release cadence is every two releases every year at this point.
yeah.
And that's been happening since what, Java 11,
Okay.
I think.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah.
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 So I've mentioned on this channel that I'm not the utmost Java expert, but honestly, so why we're chatting right now is that Crystal asked if we could support Java 25, the newest version of Java. And we went and we did it. And like Java 25 is actually, I was legitimately, it was the most excited I've ever been about Java. And so you'll show some stuff off. And so maybe we can just
Yeah,
dive into it actually. But like
absolutely.
the new Java 25 stuff is really neat. So I'm pumped.
Yeah. I am excited to see how it changes the way that teachers approach teaching Java because for years it's been this debate as to, what language is going to be easier. And there were some obstacles to introducing students to Java. And I think we've done a really good job of addressing some of those. So I'm grateful to share. I have a little PowerPoint, so
Yeah,
it's
great.
short, and then we're going to just jump into Pickcode and see what it looks like that way. So
Sure.
as I said, Java 25 was released in September. It's released every 6 months. And so our next release will be in March of 2026, and that'll be Java 26.
Nice.
And this is the one thing that I think came out of Java 25 that is most exciting, in my opinion. And this is called compact source files and instance main methods, which may not mean a lot to people. But once we get into it, I think people will be like, wow, that's really helpful.
So it's interesting. I know what this is and I'm excited about this, but I actually have something that I'm more excited about, which if you don't get to, I'll bring it up, but I think you will get
Okay.
to it in the next couple slides.
Okay, great. So this is how most people introduce their first class to Java is we write a public class and whatever the name is, and a public static void main string args and a system.out.println. Usually it says hello world, but I just wrote this in my first program. Whatever you have the students do as an output. I think for the vast majority of people, this is their first program in Java. Uh, right or wrong, that's what I think a lot of people do. And so I think some of the things that I would hear from kids, and I would love to know if you heard some of these things, like they'd look at this and be like, wow, what is all of this stuff? Or I don't think I can do this. This looks hard. And then like, what do these things mean? Like this public and the static and do I have to memorize all of this? Like this is a lot for a first program. What's string args? So this is kind of discouraging, I think, for kids. And then you get oh, this class is going to be hard. And like, this is
I
their second.
like these bubbles. This is very accurate. I mean, so my answer when I was teaching APCSA with
Oh, good.
Java,
You're going to come up with the answer. That was my next thing. How would you respond?
well, I would say like Java is an interesting programming language that was invented, not this past year. So for historical reasons, they got a lot of stuff that's involved. and therefore we need to memorize a lot of this stuff until we learn about it later. You know, you'll thank me later is basically what I'd say. But it's kind of like take it on blind faith that this is what you're supposed to do, and then like
Yeah,
we might explain it later. The only thing you care about is that middle line. That's what I would say.
right. Yep. And I think that's what a lot of teachers did. That's what I said, like, just memorize this. You know, maybe you just say like, just type it in or we'll explain it later. Or, I think I may have gone with, well, everything in Java is a class, and then we've got this, and it goes to the main first. But in terms of explaining all those other terminologies, the public, the static, the string args, it was like, we're not going to worry about that till later. And I think some kids are able to take that on, okay, whatever. And then some kids, it's really like, well, I kind of want to know. I want to
Yeah,
know
of
what these
course.
things mean. So that's not a very satisfying answer, I think, for some students. And my understanding, and I am not a software engineer, my understanding is a lot of this is for much more complex programs. And it's not all that necessary for the programs that we're doing in intro. So I am going to take us to Pickcode and oops, let me go back because I was playing.
Oh, you have
Um,
a lot of projects here. This is awesome.
oh, I've just been playing around.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can see how many days I've been on Pickcode, 12 days.
Okay, not bad, not bad.
So I'm just going to create a new project in Java. I'm going to call it webinar because that's what we're doing. Uh, and we get that code that we had in the PowerPoint. But with this new update, this compact um, instance main method business, we actually don't need a class structure. We don't need that public static in front, and we don't need string args. So they've boiled it down to really just a main method that you can start with. And so if I run this, I will still get hello world.
That's what I'm talking
So
about.
it's
Yeah.
taken all that overhead out.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if you just count up the number of words on the page, I mean, well, and we'll talk about it in a second about system and out maybe,
Yep.
but the number of words have gone way down. And to say, hey, memorize void main, that's okay to me. Like,
Yeah.
that's not such a
Or
big deal.
even explaining like, well, this is a method and this is going to be the first method that the
Yeah.
compiler can go to and run, right? And void just means it's not going to return anything and it's just going to execute the body and it's the main method where you start. But you brought up another point. So I always was bothered by this part, system.out.println. I used to teach my students like, oh, it's always object.method name. And then we'd get to this, and this is one of the first one. It's like, wait, object, what is this system.out? Like println's the method name, but like now we've got system and then a dot and then an out. Like it's the only one that doesn't follow the rules or my classroom rule of it's object.method or class name.method. So we have a new class. It's called IO. All the methods in the IO class are static. So they're going to be called with the class name. So io.println. And that's going to do the exact same thing for us. And then maybe this is the part that you're super excited with about we've got print and println operate the same way as system.out.print, system.out.println. But then the other one is we have a new way of reading things in. So say I want to
Yes,
read in
you read my
our
mind. This is
name.
this is what I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
So yeah, we've got a readlin method, and we have a read method too. A readlin method that will take a prompt, and we have a readlin method that doesn't take a prompt. But I love the fact that we can prompt right in there. We don't need another output statement and then trying to read in. No scanner. That
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing
No
goes away.
exceptions.
Nope, none of that. So we've got that. It's going to come into name. I'm going to change this so that, oops, caps lock. That's bad. Yeah, we'll put the name right in here instead of world. And now we can run it And now it says hello, Charlie. And what an easy way to read stuff in
It's so
from
good. This is
the system.
it's funny. I mean, when you're saving me a lot of time because I was going to have to record this exact video explaining all the Java 25 stuff, but this is the exact program that I would have written. I mean, I don't this is so much shorter than the alternative before this. Because I think to
Yeah.
do this before, you need to do a scanner, you need to catch an exception, you need to do like all sorts of stuff, and you'd have this, I don't know. This is to me, this is great. And like Python's fine. We support Python on the site, of course, but like to me, this makes Java much more competitive in terms of being a cool language to teach as an initial language.
Yeah. No import statement for this
Yep.
scanner.
Oh yeah. I
And,
actually
and
forgot
then
about that. That's great.
all the different ways that you could read stuff in with scanner. And then do you have to flush the stream because you used, next versus next line. And then you have the stream flushing issues and all of that. So that's all taken care of. I think the only downside, and it really isn't necessarily a downside, is io.readLin is always going to read in a string. So now you have to get into your wrapper classes and you have to be able to use the parsing to parse out any integers
That's
or
right. Yeah.
doubles. But that's now part of the APCSA curriculum. So if you're an APCSA teacher, like you're teaching that stuff anyway with the
This is good.
parse.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because we've been doing a lot of APCSA. So wrapper classes are in now. Because wrapper classes
Yeah.
used to not be in. Is that true?
No, wrapper classes have always been in. Integer and double wrapper classes have been in. Boolean, no. But integer and double have been in and they
Okay, got
remain
it.
in.
But now
Um,
that now there's a good with the read line, there's a good motivation to teach it.
yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
mean, I guess you could have an array list of integers or something, but like this is a really good making interactive stuff is always a really nice thing.
Yeah. So this is, I think, the thing that I was most excited about. There's one more feature, and I'm going to get to it, but I want to talk about a couple other things. They're not didn't come out in Java 25, but are also really great things for
Yeah.
how we approach learning Java. And one of those is that there is in Java 11 they released single file source code, so we can actually add our classes right into the same file. We don't have to help students understand all the class hierarchy right away.
Okay,
Because
cool.
good class hierarchy is good hygiene, but uh, we have something called records that was released in Java 16, which a record is a type of class. And I'm just going to create a dog record. And I'm not going to go into all the nitty gritties about this dog, but I basically have created a new type of dog just by doing this record, dog, string name, string breed. That's a class all on its own. So, maybe before we would always put classes in their own .java file, but we don't have to. We can put them in the same file. I'm also going to make a cat. Oops, not a Kate. My cat's only going to have names. Maybe that reveals I'm a dog person. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but we can do these both in the same class. Really, we have a few different classes going on here in this, and we've nested them together. And I can create a dog.
Always
Yeah.
hard to type live on camera, but you're doing good.
And then cat C. Obviously, I tried this out because it's remembering the names that I used before.
That's funny.
And I'm just going to print them out. And a record is immutable data, kind of similar to, strings are immutable. So once I create this, I really can't change the data. This dog is going to have like instance variables for name and breed. It's going to have a constructor that allows me to send a name and a breed over that'll assign to name and breed. Um, Same thing with cat. Cat's going to have a constructor that takes in a name. And so it just allows us to make a new type without a lot of overhead. Can't change the name of the dog without creating another new object, just like with strings. But uh, there we go. Now I've got my dog Willie and my cat Sweetie coming out here in my console because I printed them out.
It's
Uh,
nice they have these good to string methods too. These are nice.
yeah, they automatically have a few things. They automatically have a toString. They have an equals. They also have getters automatically. So if I wanted to get just the dog's name, I could do dot name, and it automatically has that method for me. So this will just print out Willie now on that top line.
Nice.
So it's yeah, pretty good stuff that you get. You can add your own methods in here if you want to, but if you're just looking for a type, somebody had told me, and I hadn't thought about this before, but when you return values from a method, you can only return one value. Well, if that value happens to be a record, well, now you've got maybe a collection of values that you can return. So as long as they're immutable. So I thought that was a pretty
Yeah, that's
interesting
great. That's great.
use case for them. But I haven't quite gotten to where I want to share one last thing about Java 25, and I will need something from Java 17 to do this. And I'm going to create a sealed interface. And I know that interfaces are no longer a part of CSA, but I'm going to make a sealed interface animal. Oops. And making it sealed means that I can tell it that I only have cats and dogs. I didn't have to make it sealed. I could have just made an interface, but I did make it sealed so that you could see a Java 17 feature here. This tells me that the only thing that can implement animal are cats and dogs, and then I'm going to implement animal here. And the reason why I did this is because I'm going to put my animals in a list because I want you to see that we don't need an import for array list either anymore.
Oh, no way. That's actually huge.
Yeah.
Well, so because some people will be using Pickcode and they won't know that we're on Java 25, but this is going to save somebody who forgets the array list import, and they would have had an error a few years ago, but now they won't have an error. So that's awesome.
Yeah. You absolutely do not need to do that. This in Java 25, they automatically import everything that's in the base module, and array list happens to be part of that. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. So I'm going to add D, which is why I needed animal, because I'm adding both of these to the same array list, a dog and a cat. So I needed them to be both
Yeah,
of type animal. And then I'll just print out that boarding, and it will print out that array list for me. And I don't need an import statement. There we go.
very nice. That's
What
super
happens?
cool.
What happens in Pickcode if I put one in? Do you
You
know?
put an import of a
Yeah, if I import something that's already imported, what's going to happen? Do we know?
we don't. This is live. We'll figure this out. Maybe this is a bug report for us. No, it should be
It
fine.
didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
So in some of the IDEs that shall not be named on this Pickcode channel, in some of them it'll actually delete that import statement. So I thought, oh my gosh, that would be really confusing for students or teachers who didn't realize for the IDE itself to like
Yeah,
delete
yeah.
it. Like, why isn't it allowing me to put my import statement in and it's just deleting it randomly as I go?
Interesting. Yeah, so there's some benefits because this is obviously an IDE because you have the run button and it
Yep.
takes your classes and it compiles
Yep.
them and it does all this stuff for you. But there's some very smart IDEs out there that they're almost too smart for their own good. And so there's kind of a benefit to the simplicity here where we'll keep that import statement in for you even if it's useless.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of nice. So whether you knew that you needed it or you didn't, you'd been fine because you would have put it in and it still would have ran. But I can imagine a couple of them, people are going to be like, why won't it let me keep that in there? I need it.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's
So
cool.
hopefully that won't be too frustrating. So yeah. So that's what I have found fun in Java 25. There's a couple things to watch for. Pattern matching is like a huge suite of things, and some pattern matching things have come out. I've done some talks on pattern matching. It's a little bit larger of a topic for a short video like this, but that I think is totally revolutionizing the readability of the language and is going to really change how people are going to want to write code. Um, and we've got some things in preview for that in 25, but nothing yet permanent. Well, there's some permanent pattern matching stuff, but nothing from Java 25 that's become permanently part of the language. Was there something that I missed?
In terms of things that this is more exciting than I even had planned for. I mean, because for me, I mean, the compact class files is awesome. And then, but yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize with the record, this is really cool stuff. I mean, I think that the coolest part about this is if you're a teacher, you can combine all of these things, right? You could have now a lesson that incorporates loops where you use the io.readline to read in your names of dogs and then make them into records and then put them in an array list and print them out in some interesting ways. And you can do all of that with far fewer things to explain. Because my whole thing, like, since I've been a teacher and what we're doing with Pickcode is like, we want to get students making projects that they're really excited about themselves, right? That
Yeah.
they're personally motivated about and they're personally excited about. And I think that these features really help with that. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's, you know, to be able to nest the classes in there and do the single source file just, early on, especially, it means it's just a layer of complexity you don't have to quite explain yet, right? You can explain it a little later once they've got some things under their belt, before you start layering on that complexity. So I think that's the point.
That's great. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for showing this up and thanks for showing it in Pickcode, of course. This is great.
You're welcome. Welcome. I didn't know if I would be invited if I didn't show it in pick code.
Oh no, no, I mean, well, if there's a few IDs out there that maybe we wouldn't have put in, but yeah.
You have a great product in pick code, so I know a lot of teachers are looking for an online IDE because they're stuck in a Chromebook, and um, that was the blessing of COVID. Everybody got Chromebooks, but it's also the curse of Chromebook of COVID, which means that
Yeah.
we needed an online solution. So
Yeah, I
I
mean
like,
there are some things that are cool about I know that on the Learn page, we'll talk about this in a second, but you do list out some
yeah,
of your IDEs. I mean, more powerful IDEs like Eclipse or whatever, there are some really cool features. The thing that I really miss about a real IDE, quote unquote real IDE, offline one, is like type hints, where you can say that this record has these fields and therefore you get autocomplete like that.
yeah.
I kind of that's something I would love to implement because that's one of my favorite features of Java as well. And I mean that's been around for ages, but we don't have that right now.
We can have a whole nother session as to whether or not we think that's a good
Oh,
pedagogical
interesting. Yeah.
thing to do too. I mean, I think it depends on where you are, in your learning journey as to whether or not that's a benefit to students or whether or not that becomes a crutch. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know some
Yeah.
people
You have
would
some autocomplete stuff because it was filling in some things that I had typed in before.
yeah, yeah. But we don't have like a red squiggly, right? Like if you pass the
Got it.
wrong number of parameters, we don't have the red squiggly.
Gotcha.
I know
Gotcha.
it's funny though. At this point, some people would take type hints and they would accuse us of doing AI, and it's like, no, no, no. This is actually like half of why they invented Java was to do better typing stuff. But
Yeah.
so maybe we
Yeah.
can't add it in. We'll see.
Absolutely. Well, the other thing I wanted to just share was that we do have like a Java educator briefing, which kind of goes through all the things that I thought from Java 8 through Java 25, all the things that I thought as a AP teacher, as a CS1, CS2 type teacher, like what of these would maybe be more engaging for students, revolutionize language, impact those intro courses. So it's not everything that you would find in these updates, but it's the things that I think kind of map to education well. So this is kind of further down the page. I've got like a table of, what things are around data oriented programming, what things I think would increase engagement, which support instruction. And then I go through and for each one, I kind of break it down and I've got some code and some explanations. So you can find that on learn.java as well as some tutorials and lesson plans and practice, APCSA corner. So it's a growing website. So if people have feedback, I'm open to any of it.
That's great. Yeah. Cool.
So, but the ones I mentioned today, the features I mentioned today, they're all listed in here. So if you're like, I need to know more about this sealed interface that I just kind of glossed over and threw on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
screen, you can go in and you can read more about it.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, that is all I have
Okay, cool.
on my end. But thank you so much for
Yeah.
having me on.
Of course, yeah. And I might follow up with a separate video that explains some of this stuff or you know, we have our YouTube channel and we like to go through stuff. I mean, one of the things that I'd like to do is kind of what we mentioned of like go through and make a bigger project utilizing some of these features because it's cool to see the small examples, but to see a bigger example of like, oh, we could do like a vet office simulator thing, and like
Yeah.
those are the types of projects that I think get people more excited, and so yeah, we'll
I,
go through and make some of those for sure.
I'm in the middle of a webinar series that is around creating a deck. Well, we started with creating a deck of cards, and we went through all the different ways that, like, you know, early on, you might think like, oh, okay, I only know about primitives or I only know about objects. Like, how can I create something to represent a card? And we went through all those stages and we finally got to, we've got some enums in there and we've got some records and we've created a deck of cards. And then last week we kind of explored more about enums, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago, more about enums and added that in. And then we're going to start with writing some methods to do some dealing, and then we'll get into some shuffling. We're kind of incorporating some things as we go along, and so it's a series that's happening every 2 weeks for the next until I run out of ideas for how
Okay,
to
cool. Yeah,
card
yeah.
game. But that's one of along that the lines of a larger project that might be fun and engaging, and
No,
it's
that's
geared
cool.
toward teachers so they can take that stuff and recreate it however they feel is best for their students in their classroom.
Yeah, and if you have a link to that, we can put that in the description of this video, and
Okay.
we can, yeah, get people. And so, if as we're wrapping up, if people want to look for your stuff or contact you, what's the best way to get in touch or to keep updated on what you're working on?
Yeah, so learn.java is our website. And then I don't know if you can put it up on the screen somehow, but crystal.sheldon@oracle.com is my email address. And I try really hard to make sure that I'm answering people's emails pretty quickly. As we grow, I don't know how quick that'll be, but
Yeah,
right
yeah, of
now it's
course.
pretty manageable. So if people are like, hey, what, it would be really great if you did a resource on
Cool.
whatever,
And so
then
you're cool if I put that in the description as well.
yeah,
Okay, great. Yeah.
absolutely.
So both of those resources will be in the description. We'll have a link out to the
Great.
webinar series, and then we'll have your email in there if people have feedback for Crystal. So yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
we can call it a wrap here, but we'll stay on for a second and say thanks. But yeah,
Okay.
thanks for coming on the channel, and this will be posted pretty soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.